Hi guys, Dane here, and welcome to my December 2024 reading wrap-up. It's now February, so I should probably film this. Somehow, weirdly, I've already filmed and edited January's wrap-up, but hey-ho. let's see, I only have 4 books for you. It was a quiet old month. Let's get started.
Dane reads.
So, book number 1, I have Parkrun by Debra Bourne. This is just a non-fiction book that Debra Bourne has written about Parkrun, which is a weekly, free, timed 5k run in various cities throughout the UK and indeed throughout the world. I'm a big Parkrun fan. I've done about 68, 70 odd Parkruns now. I actually got this book for my dad as a Christmas gift because I know he likes Parkrun as well. Because I got him a used copy, I realised it's not going to hurt if I read it before I give it to him anyway, so I did. It was pretty good. The downside to it was that it only took us up to about 2015, so it didn't have anything about COVID and how Parkrun stopped and then restarted after COVID. And obviously there's been a lot more expansion, a lot of new Parkruns, a lot of new countries since then. But it was still interesting to read various people talking about how they got into Parkrun, to learn a little bit about how the institution was founded in the first place. I'd give it like a 3.5 out of 5. It was okay if you want to learn more about Parkrun, but don't go into it expecting it to be like a Bible that tells you everything there possibly is. Alright, then I read My Dad's a Policeman by Cathy. This was one of the short reads books that regularly released to try and get more people into reading. Basically, it's about a young kid, I think he was about 12 years old, who gets taken into foster care because his mother's a drunk, basically. And it kind of follows him coming to terms with his new situation. He's got a little brother as well, and his little brother's happy to be in foster care. He and himself not so much. He runs away from home, all of this stuff. It's quite sad, quite harrowing. I mean, I read like really big, serious books on these kind of things, and this was more, I would say, it's more a YA or even a middle grade kind of take on the situation. It's obviously still sad and harrowing, but it's not like he died in a gutter at the end of it as a heroin addict or anything like that. I picked it up because Shay read it and she related to it a lot, and so she wanted me to read it, so I did. I gave it like a 3.5 out of 5. Then we have Martin Chuzzlewit by Charles Dickens. I listened to this by audiobook. I'm not going to lie, I don't have a huge amount to say about this. I mean, I've followed it with The Chimes, which is going to be coming up in a future audiobook soon. And I really enjoyed The Chimes. I think Martin Chuzzlewit is one of Dickens's like last great character novels, but I always found him kind of boring. You know, the Chuzzlewit family are interesting enough, I suppose. Actually, the most interesting part of it all is when they go over to America and we see like America in the 1860s or whatever through Dickens's eyes. I don't think it made him too popular amongst the Americans, but by that point he already had like a diehard transatlantic reader base anyway. But yeah, you can imagine Dickens does a great job of like holding a mirror up to, you know, Dickensian Victorian London and showing some of the evils of society. And him doing that in the US is just a pleasure. Maybe not if you're an American, but as a British reader, it's super interesting. Other than that, though, it's one of his more forgettable novels. I gave it like a 3.5 out of 5. And finally, I read Eternal Treblinka by Charles Patterson. So this book's been on my radar for years, and I'm glad I finally got to it. Basically, the thesis of this book is that animal agriculture has learned a lot from the Holocaust. We created an eternal Treblinka for the animals that are suffering in factory farming systems. It even talks a lot about the specific systems. Interestingly enough, like the assembly line approach was obviously popularized by Henry Ford, a guy who didn't like Jews very much. He was friends, well, not friends with Hitler, but Hitler admired him a great deal. Ford was the only American that Hitler mentioned by name in Mein Kampf, and or at least according to the book, and maybe I'm misremembering that. But yeah, and like Hitler awarded Ford various like, you know, merits of the German Empire and things like this. And then basically a lot of the stuff they did in the Holocaust and in concentration camps is basically taking that assembly line approach. And then factory farming does the same thing. I mean, even like you look at how animals are stored, trying to store as many animals as possible in as short amount of space as possible. It's what they did to human beings on concentration camps. You know, trying to work animals for as much as you can until they're no good, and then, you know, popping them off. That's what they did to people in concentration camps. There's a lot more stuff. Let me actually just grab it because it's over here. As you can see, there's a huge number of tabs in this, and I will be doing a full review of this. I just want to read you the names of the chapters, because I think those would give you some more insight. So, part 1 of Fundamental Divide, The Great Divide, Human Supremacy and the Exploitation of Animals. Chapter 2, Wolves, Apes, Pigs, Rats, Vermin, Vilifying Others as Animals. So that talked about how the Germans, you know, they would call the Jews pigs, rats, vermin. And again, you still wouldn't get the Holocaust if there wasn't this then inherent belief amongst human beings that animals are less than us. You know, you couldn't have a vegan Hitler. By the way, Hitler wasn't vegetarian, despite what many people say. He wanted to pretend he was vegetarian. That's covered in this as well. But yes, you couldn't have like a vegan Hitler, because even if you did think that the Jews were, you know, rats or whatever, you still don't kill the rats. So anyway, part 2, Master Species, Master Race. Chapter 3, The Industrialization of Slaughter, The Road to Auschwitz through America. Chapter 4, Improving the Herd, From Animal Breeding to Genocide, and that has a lot of stuff in there as well about eugenics. Chapter 5, Without the Homage of a Tear, Killing Centers in America and Germany. Then we have part 3, Holocaust Echoes. Chapter 6, We Were Like That Too, Holocaust-Connected Animal Advocates. Chapter 7, This Boundless Slaughterhouse, The Compassionate Vision of Isaac Bashevis Singer, who is a Jewish writer, who seemed to be very forward-thinking. I mean, well, I'll get to that in a minute. And Chapter 8, The Other Side of the Holocaust, German Voices for the Voiceless, showing that, again, even people, you know, survivors of the Holocaust, on both sides, whether they were German soldiers or Jewish prisoners, they both agree that like animal agriculture is a bad thing. The only downside I would say is that chapter on Isaac Bashevis Singer, or whatever his name was. That's just a full chapter about this one guy's books, which was probably a bit much considering what this is. It kind of read as though that had been a thesis from, you know, college or whatever, that he'd then kind of crowbarred into this book just because he had it. But overall, I gave Eternal Treblinka, Our Treatment of Animals in the Holocaust by Charles Patterson, a 5 out of 5. Harrowing, but must read. So yeah, ending the year strong. So there we have it. Those are all the books that I read in December. As always, don't forget to let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books, and if so, what you thought of them. Hit that like button if you've enjoyed this video. Hit that subscribe button for more, and I will see you soon for another bookish video. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.